Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Duskmos, and today I'm here taking a launch day special first look at the Old Blood Noise Endeavor's Beam Splitter. In this special launch day episode, I'm looking at the Beam Splitter, which is a really cool take on a triple voiced overdrive. And I say it's a unique take. It's actually the only triple voiced overdrive that I know of that is set up in this way. So it's more than just a unique take. It's a unique pedal, which is always welcome around here. So the Beam Splitter has a mono input, and then it actually has three different outputs, as well as an expression input. And those three individual outputs are really where the splitting happens. So basically, each of these colored knob sections here relate to three different overdrives. So this is your main one. It's got a gain, volume, and tone control. I say your main one. It's just the first one, but it is on the main output jack only. But then as you plug into the green or the blue outs, you actually will split those channels out. So the main out becomes just the purple. But if you just plug in one jack to begin with, you get all three on the one jack in mono merged together, which is really cool. But what's interesting is that you can bring in a mono source and then split it out into these three jacks and get a Arturia set up, as Old Blood Noise Endeavors refers to in the manual. And that's really cool. It gives you more of like a stereo spread kind of effect if you pan each of those channels out. And I'll experiment with that a little bit later on in the video, but a really cool feature and really fun to experiment with. So as I mentioned, the purple here is gain, volume, and tone control. Then the green has gain, volume, tone, but then you also have time and decay. And most of these are replicated here in the blue: volume, tone, time, and decay. But the gain control isn't like a knob, it's a toggle that just goes from a lower gain setting to a really crunchy higher gain setting. And the central control knob here is deviate, which allows you to ramp from the lowest time setting to whichever time setting each of these knobs is set to. So if you max out the green and you really shorten the blue, the more deviate you have, the more it will drastically ramp from the lowest setting to the max knob setting for either. And I'll experiment with that. You'll see how that works a little later. But it's a lot of fun and definitely a cool kind of core feature of this pedal that allows you to get a little modulation going. I rarely do anything with the expression jacks in my demos, and I won't be really utilizing it in this video either, but I may bring it out in another video where I maybe hook up the expression ramper to it, also from Old Blood Noise Endeavors. Very cool a little utility box that will modulate the expression amount. And that's cool because it controls the deviate amount. So you can basically use the expression ramper to ramp the amount of deviate, which ramps the amount of time and how drastically the time changes. So it can get really crazy, but in a fun way. And I think that'll be a really interesting video to do separately. So each of these are voiced differently. This purple first one here, it's a hard clipping distortion, and it's kind of the main sound of the Beam Splitter. And I don't know why. I mean, it says that in the manual. You can completely defeat it. You can turn the volume down and bring in just these two if you wanted to. But I think it's the first one, and so because it's the first in line, it seems like the main sound. But yeah, you can mix and match, which is really cool. Green has soft and hard clipping, and is definitely the brightest sounding of the bunch. So if you want to add some extra crispiness, this is a cool one to kind of blend into the mix. And I find it's like, if anything ever sounds too harsh, like if you bring back the tone level on the green, it can kind of mellow it out a little bit. Or if things sound too dark, then you can boost it and bring up some of those brighter tones. Blue is a transistor overdrive, and this gain toggle here really can go from kind of mild to wild depending on the input level that you're feeding. And yeah, I mean, all these really respond as most overdrives do to the input level. So, experiment there and just kind of see what you can do. And I'll do some of that as well in this demo. So anyway, enough about all the controls. Let's get it hooked up and hear how it sounds. Okay, so as you can tell, I've got the beam splitter hooked up with the model cycles from Elektron, and coming out of it mono, just out of one channel, going into the beam splitter, coming out mono, into the TX6, and then out into my camera. So as always, I start with my clean pattern, which sounds like this, which is a little low right now. I'm gonna turn it up just so you can hear a little better. But because this is a high gain device, I'm actually going into a pretty low level. So when I activate it, I'm actually gonna turn it down some. But yeah, just starting with a very basic drum pattern that I'm gonna add some more stuff to just as we explore. But anyway, that's what it sounds like at its core. Gonna come down and then introduce the beam splitter. So as I come up in volume, you can hear it's hitting that first drive stage pretty hard. Right now it's only purple. These are turned down. So if I bypass, really hear it on that kick. Smashes it. That's pretty cool. So you can go up the gain, just get even more intense with it. You can brighten up the tone, kind of crush it back a little bit. So gain up all the way, bypassed. So you can hear it really smashes drums, which is pretty cool. Let's add some cat sounds here. Bypassed. Clearly different. I'm going to back off the input level a bit. No gems here. I definitely haven't figured out where notes are on this linear grid here. I'm gonna go ahead and record that in. Pretty cool. I'll bypass. Re-engage, but I'm gonna back off a little bit. Actually, feed it a little more, but gonna meet it in the middle of the game. Okay, this whole time it's been the combined output, which gets all three different drives, but I've only been using purple so far. So cut that. Let's hear what green sounds like. So this is the gain all the way down, but the volume all the way up. So you hear not much change here. Back the volume down, but bring the gain up. So definitely the brightest of the three. Really crispy. And let's just hear now the blue. Flip it into the higher gain setting there. I actually like what it's doing with the kick, kind of muffling it. I'm going to really drive into the input. So here it's just decimated now. Darken it. Go with that for now. So I'm going to bring in some of the green. And some of the purple. It's kind of cool because they all have their own characteristics. You can kind of use them even to sort of EQ the overall sound you get out of it, which is kind of cool. It's interesting letting the kick breathe a little more. You can really hear more detail. So as soon as I introduce really that sound, it kind of overtakes what's happening with the kick. Kind of cool. And there's different compressions going on at any given time with these different gain channels, I guess if you want to call it that. Doing that live record trick there. Bypass. Kind of loud. But in here, very different situation going on. Give us a little bit more tame here. definitely adds some nice crunchy character. It's cool. It's kind of nice to have this on a toggle. You really get two different, like almost two different patterns in a way. You can play the toggle. Okay, return to clean here. I'm gonna mute these tracks and bring the volume of this one up. And kill the delay. So now we just got those two sort of drum hits. Steel drum. Metal. I don't know. I picture it being like a mallet and like a empty metal container. I don't know. Anyway, I'm doing this because now I want to introduce the different time, like delay controls of the green and the blue. So let's check that out. Oh, well, it would help if I engage the effect first. Let's do that. So right now, I caught it before it got in there. I'm just going to have... This is just the green right now. So volume is down on purple and blue. And gain's kind of mid-level. Okay, so now tweak the time. And you won't really hear anything because there's no reference as to why the time is off. So you don't know that it's delayed because of all the gaps between the notes. So let's introduce the purple so you hear basically like the real-time sound. So you hear it kind of doubled. So now it's really delayed. So we'll up the decay of the green alone. And you hear those repeats stretch out even further. Back down the gain a bit. A little bit less driven. And see what's cool is because the green and the blue are the only ones that have the delay, you can kind of, more than kind of, you can dial in the amount of that delayed sound that you want, which is cool. So now we'll bring some blue in. And again, time is all the way down, decay is all the way down, so let's add some time, up the time. You can actually hear getting rid of the green. Oh, the decay is all the way down. This one does a little bit more of like a feedback kind of thing. But they've got what sounds like to me slightly different delay times. But you can offset them even more. If you want to do that intentionally. Or up the decay of one. Let's leave this one kind of short and this one kind of long. Interesting places between all three here. things get really interesting. This is getting a little annoying, maybe. Well, I'm just going to leave it for the purposes of this, but when you up deviate, it allows the time to fluctuate with the knob positions being the maximum values, and it'll just ramp up and down from these max values. And the higher deviated it is, the more it'll deviate from these maxes. This is a little crazy sounding because obviously it's delaying everything. Let's just explore. Is infinitely more boring than that. I got lost a little bit. It's fun tweaking these knobs. You can end up in some pretty interesting territory. Find all those nooks and crannies between chorus and flanging, feedback. It's a good time. And there you go. The beam splitter, baby. Got a little crooked because I got a little excited over here. Okay, so as you can tell, I've got the beam splitter set up with the Microfreak here, and I'm going in mono, coming out mono, out of the combined output of the beam splitter, going into the TX6, and then out into the camera. In this setup, I kind of want to take a look at what it might sound like to kind of work with a drone going through the beam splitter. So I'm going to select a note here and then put the keyboard in hold mode, and then just start tweaking knobs and see what we get. As always, I like to start with my clean tone, which sounds like this. Yeah, so you get the idea. I'm going to go ahead and hold a note. And we'll engage the beam splitter. So right away, you're hearing it go through purple, which is the first gain drive stage. Cycle through the tone here. And bypass. So definitely add some drive. Obviously, you can crank it. Keep it a little bit more tame to start. Now I'll introduce some of the green. You can see the tone is down all the way. Right when you start tweaking that time knob, you get that chorus flanging kind of thing. Up to decay. You can see deviate is down all the way. Switch notes here. Deviate. As a reminder, deviate changes the time amount with the knob setting be the max. The more you up it, the more frequently and more intensely it deviates from the time. Go ahead and add in some of the blue here. Pulsing. Really up the deviate. Bypass. So yeah, definitely a big difference there. Can flip this gain toggle to give it an even more intense drive tone. Tighten it up a little bit. Bypass. And re-engaged. I know I've already covered this, but just in case you're turning into this section only, the deviate down all the way, it won't change the time values. The time values on each of the knobs are what they are set to. So there's no modulation. Darken the tones up all the way. So you can kill this first stage. Fully dark. Bypassed. And re-engaged. Definitely getting that whole wall of sound kind of vibe. And if you want it, you can get it really, really bitey. Get the volumes down a little bit here, but gain all the way up. And tones wide open. Bypassed. Obviously there's a big gain shift here since this is all about gain and drive, so to go from clean to driven here is kind of hard to keep the levels dead on, but that's okay. You're not using this pedal to be quiet. But there it is. You can hear if I volume out, gain down, open this one up. This one has a bit of a like a rain stick kind of sound to it. I'm not sure where that's coming from. It's kind of cool though. And you can actually hear right now when it's bypassed versus engaged. This channel has a little bit of a hum to it. You can see when I turn the volume down, it goes away. That has a little bit of noise. Or like a... Yeah, just a little bit of noise. It's kind of nice though. This one is a little bit higher pitched noise. But then yeah, this one has a bit of a hum. It's interesting though. But you're talking about a high gain device, so you get a bit of that. So now I'm actually going to do something kind of interesting that the beam splitter allows you to do, which is to actually split up these different drives. So you can come out of the back. I've already talked about this, but you've got a main out which combines all of them, and then a green out and a blue out. So I'm going to come out of the green out and actually run this into my mixer here. So I put it into channel 4, which let's check here to make sure drive levels are the same. Or not drive, but gain levels. They are. And so now I'll go ahead and re-engage the Microfreak. Bring in the beam splitter. And what you can hear is that actually the green is removed from the main output. So I actually have that separated out. So right now, we're hearing the blue and the purple on the main out, and then the green alone on the individual out, which is really cool. So I'm actually going to do... Let's see, this is set up for... Oh, yeah. So I can pan. So I'm actually moving green to the left, and the other two to the right. So you can hear if I turn down purple and blue, you're just hearing it out of the left channel. And if I turn down the green, you're just hearing out of the right. Pretty cool to add some spatial stuff, some spread. Especially because especially coming from a mono device going in, you get a nice spread. It's like a multiplier. And that's kind of, I think, the intention behind the beam splitter is to really give you a wider sound stage, a bigger sound. It's really cool. This is where I think this gets really interesting. sounding stuff. Can definitely get a bit of a feedback kind of vibe going, depending on your settings. If you watch my channel, you know I tend to like feedback, as long as it's not that crazy, super harsh stuff. Which I think this stays fairly tame, which is nice. Nothing's gonna blow your speakers. Alright, enough of the drone. Let's see. Find another. Another sound here. I can find one with. Yeah, something a little stabbier. I feel like I use this preset a lot already on the Microfreak, even though I've only had it for a little bit. The purple is basically like your driven real-time sound, because these have the delay controls, which you can turn down, but basically if you're just trying to get like real-time feedback for what you're playing, it's sometimes a little bit convenient to just kind of turn down the volumes of the green and blue. So you can hear what you're doing. And you hear the pitch variation coming into play here. With the deviate knob. Kind of stretching the time of these delays out. Giving you some implied pitch changes. You can get some real wacky stuff. And so you hear that kind of distorted phasing rainstick sound come back into play here if you really open up the tone on blue. So I tend to keep that one dialed back a bit. Shorten the times up. Get those chorusy, flanging tones. If you have the decay up, you obviously have a more pronounced effect. And if you want, you can tweak it and just get it in one channel. Clean reminder. So yeah, pretty crazy stuff. Deviate down all the way, times down all the way. But get decay up. really tight flange kind of stuff going. Can't help but be driven though. I guess you can turn the gain down on most of these. Give you a little bit of gain to hear it. Go hard left, hard right. And of course, you can just tweak knobs. Have a good old time. There we go. That's using the two separate outputs. Of course, it has three, but I only have two of the cables handy. But if you had a third, you could break it out into Trario, as it calls out in the manual, and get three different variations and, play with panning and break them out. And it's cool. You can even use just one sound independently if you happen to like one of the three flavors in the Beam Splitter, which is pretty versatile and really cool. So I wouldn't call this my full review, but I figured I would give some good first impressions here. And I think the Beam Splitter is a lot of fun. It's a loud party that you're cool with. Like you're fine that it's loud, and yeah, because you're in it, you're partying with them. You're not the angry neighbor. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's cool coming in mono and be able to split into that Trario action. Really unique approach. The voicings are cool, and I like that, with tweaking the input levels and the different tone controls, you can kind of mellow it out and just add some nice sort of like saturation push kind of stuff. Obviously big wall of sound vibes when you start playing with these delays and stretching out the feedback with the decay, tweaking the deviate. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's definitely a different kind of pedal, and it's not really something that we've seen before, which I think is super cool. Old Blood Noise really kind of put on their thinking caps and came out with something different, and you got to respect that. So on that note, thank you so much for hanging out and checking this out today. Beam Splitter, Old Blood Noise Endeavors. Hit them up. Check out the website. I appreciate you being here. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.